This is the Oregon Football Report. I am your host, Will Ortner, and today we're going to be breaking down a commitment that the Oregon Ducks are rapidly closing in on getting a signing from this recruit. I think it is important to always break down who the Ducks could be circling around, and this is a big-time player because we're getting to a spot where the 2027 class, well, they're starting to make their official visits. They're also starting to make their commitments known. When we look at the guy that we're talking about today, that, of course, is Zane Rowe, a four-star defensive line commitment. He would specifically be playing the edge position. And he's narrowed down the four teams that he could potentially commit to, and he will announce his commitment on March 13th, he announced today. We're going to dive into why the Ducks are rumored to be one of the top two teams after him and why they might end up being the number one team after him and not the number two team. Before we do that, make sure that you ring the bell. We are getting really close to the kids in the 2027 class committing to the Oregon football team. We are getting really close to the Oregon Ducks starting their spring ball practices. There's going to be news. There's going to be rumors. There's going to be all kinds of things floating around you don't want to miss. How do you not miss out on those? You subscribe and you turn on your notifications. You ring the bell, set it to all, and you'll never miss another Oregon Ducks football news, rumors, or recruiting video. The top four schools right now for Rowe are the Oregon Ducks, the Oklahoma Sooners, Washington Huskies, and North Carolina Tar Heels. They're all put in about the order that I think they are going to be in. Now, of course, there could be a little bit of movement depending on the team, but to sit here and say that the Oregon Ducks are not one of the top teams would just be lying to you. When you talk to Zane, and he had these things to say to Rivals and On 3, he talked about his recruitment and how he's already starting to narrow down the schools and how he believes he will be ready to make a commitment on March 13th. I've been going through this process for a long time, and I've been able to narrow my options down. There are a couple of surprise teams in the top group that really climbed up my list in the last few weeks. Now, this, of course, makes sense because, well, recruitment is always moving. There's always something going on when it comes to these high school kids and the recruiting process. It is a big step for them to move away from mom and dad and commit to the next 4 years of their life. Hopefully, everyone kind of goes into it expecting to be at one spot for those 4 years. So it makes sense why Rowe has been going through this for a long time, and it feels like there are a couple teams that are starting to kind of creep up those rankings. The Oregon Ducks certainly are one of the teams that are creeping up those rankings, and it does feel like the question everyone's asking is he going to sign with the Oregon football team? I'll let you know my opinion on that and why I think some of his latest quotes could push him towards the Ducks. But I got to let you know about the sweet t-shirts that we have here on the Oregon Football Report because for the first time, we are able to do some merch. If you want to join in the Oregon drinking team, you can grab this t-shirt. The link is going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. I've already got my black t-shirt coming in. It's going to look so freaking cool. It's going to be so fresh. And, of course, it's some of the comfiest t-shirts in the game. Super affordable, only $29.99. So go get one of your t-shirts today and be the coolest kid in town. Like I said, that link is going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. The Oregon Ducks have been relentless in their pursuit of Zane Rowe, and that makes a lot of sense because that's how Dan Lanning has been recruiting. That's the type of coach that he is. He does not leave a stone unturned, and he is always going to fight to get the best players at the University of Oregon, and the Oregon Ducks have done a great job of developing players, something that Rowe took note of when he talked about the Oregon football team. They also have great development, Rowe continued. They have 2 DNs going in the first round and another coming back for his senior year. So the depth chart is playing a big role. They're recruiting my family and me and came to visit me at school and showed my parents and me the plan. The Oregon Ducks have done a great job in the Dan Lanning era of going out, finding top-name recruits, bringing them to the University of Oregon, and then showing them how to develop and reach the full potential that they have. When Rowe is talking about 2 big-name edge rushers with the Oregon Ducks, of course he's talking about Tatum Tuioti and Mateo Uyunglele. Now, these are not the only guys who have had a lot of success in this time frame. Jordan Burch obviously had a lot of success as well. But it is important to note that a lot of the younger players are already realizing the type of success and skill that they can develop while being at the University of Oregon. When we look at Tatum Tuioti and Mateo Uyunglele this past season, obviously both are getting a ton of tackles. Tatum Tuioti is unblockable in my personal opinion. The sack numbers are off the charts for both of them. Tatum Tuioti leading the Ducks this year in sacks. The year before, it was Mateo Uyunglele. And they do not stop. Both of these players, while they did come back to the University of Oregon, they are very clearly going to be top name draft picks in the upcoming draft when they do go in the 2027 NFL draft. This clearly is something that matters to Rowe. He's a smart kid. He does not want to go somewhere where he will not be developed. And that makes a ton of sense to me. If you are going to go somewhere for your college career, you want to have the most success possible. I also think it's important, and Rowe does as well, that you see players from your area clearly have a lot of success, because there's times where sometimes a university has a lot of success with homegrown talent, but doesn't always have a lot of success with players that are coming from somewhere else. And Rowe, coming from the Texas area, he does mention that it is important to him that the Oregon Ducks have had some success with players who have previously come to the university from Texas. He says they showed their track record with Texas guys like DeCorian Moore. For them to come to DFW, then go to play in Eugene, that's the furthest you can go from Texas. So if you have success and thrive there, it's a big deal to me. So clearly, we have shown that Rowe really cares about the success that has been developed in the position that he plays, but also he clearly cares about the success from the area that he's been in. It would be easy for Rowe to come around and say, hey, you know what? While I did like my visit to Eugene, you guys have not had success with guys coming from Texas before. I don't want to play there. It would also make sense for a guy like Rowe to say, hey, well, you're a very good program, but you don't develop edge talent. I don't want to go there. The Oregon Ducks do both of those things, and they've done both of those things for quite some time. So it does feel like Rowe, at the very least, is very, very interested with the University of Oregon, and it definitely feels like, to me, they are the top team. Will Zane Rowe play for the Ducks? Let me know down below in the comment section, yes or no. I have a hard time after hearing those comments not seeing Rowe end up in Eugene. Now, I do have to be honest, the Oregon Ducks are not the only school that clearly have Rowe's eye, because he was actually originally committed to the University of Oklahoma, another program that has had a lot of success on the defensive end, especially with Coach Brent Venables and the success that he has developing defensive talent all the way back to when he was with the Clemson Tigers. It is important to note that Zane Rowe did have some nice things to say about the University of Oklahoma as well. I love the plan they have for me in my development. Their edge guys are constantly winning and constantly eating. R. Mason Thomas, Danny Oki, they grinded out for their spots. They weren't as highly recruited as me, but that track worked for their development, so that speaks volumes. The Ducks should still end up winning this battle between the University of Oklahoma. It does make sense, though, why Rowe is interested. They're a little bit closer to home. Makes sense why he'd want to be there with that squad. But I do think it is important to note that the Oregon Ducks, it's a better program. It's a program that's had more success in recent years. It's a program that is situated to win a national championship easier than Oklahoma. And in my eyes, I don't see how the Ducks don't win this battle. When you look at the recent Ducks commitments, Rowe would end up potentially being the sixth guy to commit in the 2027 class. As you can see, each commitment gets better and better and better for the University of Oregon. Kadarius McMiller is the most recent commitment, but Cam Pritchett, an edge rusher, already has committed to the University of Oregon. Could be interesting to see if they get their second edge rusher. Make sure that you don't miss any Oregon football videos. The best way to do that is by hitting the NOTI bell. You hit the NOTI bell, you'll never miss another video that we have here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Make sure that you hit that sub button. We are growing. Right now we're at 3,000 subscribers. We need to grow more, because if we want to be able to do all the fun things that we do here on the channel, we need to be as big as possible. So make sure you come in, hit the sub button, share the video with your friends who love the Oregon Ducks as well. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. and Sko Ducks!